welcome back to Stitching Ewe and More. This is episode 7 and I'm your host Amanda, also known as Little Panda 518, where you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram under that name. Hop on over to Ravelry. We have a Ravelry group which is Stitching Ewe and More podcast. It's starting to liven up, so feel free to jump in, introduce yourself, and join the fun. Let's see. It's been a crazy week. I definitely know this is probably going to be a short one. The weather, the ice, it's crazy. So 2 days last week, not 2 weeks, 2 days. I was once again snowed in home from work, kind of crazy, but I am very thankful that I do have a job where I can work from home. And it was kind of nice because during the downtime I could pick up my hooks and work on some things. I did finish quite a bit this week. They were some smaller pieces. They were commission jobs. Not really jobs, but just, what am I trying to say? It's been crazy. They were commissioned items, so I don't have them anymore, but I will put in some pictures. So, oh, and one thing before I forget, the show notes. I have a new website. I linked it in episode 6, but I forgot to mention it. So the new website for show notes is stitchingeweandmore.com. So yay, finally new domain. Should be a lot easier. You don't have to worry about typing in Weebly or Blogspot or any of those crazy things. So hopefully that's a lot easier for y'all to find and bookmark. Let me know what you think about the new site, the colors, the layout, if it's user-friendly or whatnot. Just let me know. And I know I have this weird like shadow going on. I am working on getting some new lights. Hopefully I will have that fixed here shortly. Let's see, jumping right in. My crochet works in progresses. So I have deemed this blanket that I'm working on the Rainbow of Doom. Yeah, that's definitely what I feel is like working on it. It's one of those things that I don't know why I said yes. This is a project for a friend of mine. She sent a picture. She's like, oh, can you do this? I'm like, yes, definitely. Let me whip it up. And then I looked at the pattern and it's motifs. I don't know about any of y'all. Motifs really aren't my thing. But it is in my cute, nope, change bags. Outgrew that bag. Sorry. It's in the bag that I sewed up and my wonderful Marmee put the zipper in for me. Yeah, any of my bags that have zippers, you can definitely tell that someone else did them because zippers still terrify me in sewing. So this one my mommy did. So like I said, I did outgrow the little bag, so that means I am making some progress. So they're all the same, so I'm not going to show you individually. But I think last time when I counted, I think I have 12 done that are the clouds and the rainbow. So let me put this up. Oh, there we go. There we can see all the colors. There we go. That works a little bit better. This is all Karen Simply Soft. It's my go-to yarn for blankets. I've got the white, autumn red, pumpkin, lemonade, Kelly green, berry blue, and amethyst, I believe. I will get all the color names on my project page, and I'm going to go to my project page and rename this instead of just Rainbow Blanket to Rainbow of Doom. Am I the only one that doesn't really dig motifs? Let me know. So yeah, I did feel pretty proud of myself that I have 12 done. I only have like 110 more to go. Kind of crazy, but yeah. I think I'm going to try to set a goal for myself because like I made all the white pieces and then I went back and put the colors on them. So I think I'm going to try to set a goal of, you know, one day maybe getting 5 of the white pieces done and then getting the colors put on some. I'm still trying to find that sweet number, especially since life is kind of crazy here and there. Some days are better than others. Sorry about the sniffles. I don't know if I'm fighting allergies or if cold is trying to come on. I'm really hoping it's just allergies because I have some pretty fun things planned for this coming up week. So yeah, there's that. So So that's my only crochet work in project besides my design piece, which I haven't touched in like 3 weeks, so I didn't even bother bringing it in here. I'll eventually get back around to that. I just kind of needed something to kind of go with the flow, and I really know I need to get this blanket done, so I'm trying to bring that to my forefront. But what I worked on mainly this week before I worked on Rainbow of Doom was some adorable, adorable baby sandals. If you follow me on Instagram, you have already seen them, but I will put in a picture here why I talk about them. I did, sorry, something in my eye. I did make 5 pairs. I used, it's like strappy baby sandal. The pattern is linked on my project page. I used that pattern for the main part of all of the sandals, but I did just kind of wing the top. I didn't want all of the sandals to be exactly the same, so I just kind of winged it. They all came out adorable. There's a white and pink pair, a teal and white pair, white, tan, and black, and when I delivered those, I was asked to make another pair, but I haven't started those yet. So I also have a very cute pink and gray pair to whip out here pretty soon. So that was the first kind of where all my energy was, and then I also finished some headband ear warmers. This one's black, so it probably terrible. Yeah, we're not going to show that one. We'll show this one. It's the same pattern. Let me fix it up here so hopefully you can see it better. So here's the purple one. It is purple, not blue. I know purple is like one of the hardest colors to get to show on camera. It is, let's see, it's the Twisted Turban headband. It's a pattern, I don't remember who did it. It's on my project page, y'all. It was super simple. It's a free pattern. You chain 14. You single crochet in the front loop as long as you want it. Twist the ends and slip stitch it together. Super simple. I made both of these in probably under an hour. Like they came out, they flew off my hook. So I made those 2 pairs. Those are for my cousin. The slippers that I showed you guys last week, the 4 pairs of those go with the headband. So now that I have all of her stuff done, I can meet up with her and get those to her so she can then enjoy them herself. My other finished object, which I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I made small things and baby things. I actually finished 8 things this week, but they're the itty bitty baby things. But still, I feel pretty proud that I finished 8 things. So my 8th thing that I finished is a keychain. When I first started the podcast, I need to stop with these ums. I'm just kind of caught on to that. I was watching there it is again. A podcast that I watch like religiously, watched all the back episodes. I'll talk about here a little bit later, but she's the one that kind of brought me onto the ums, which I'll try to be better. So when I first started the podcast, my friend Tish at Southern Girl Knits did a giveaway on her blog or her podcast of a little owl keychain, and she loved it. She asked for one, so since she's a dear friend of mine, ask and ye shall receive. So I made her little keychain that's super adorable. I did it in red heart. It's a keychain. It's going to be banged around or on a project bag. So the pink and the white are both red heart, and the orange, of course, for the little beak. I did safety eyes because it's going to bang around, and I'd much rather have safety eyes than beads. And then you can't really tell on here. Let me see if I can. The gray kind of has a sparkle, so that is the red heart shimmer, which I've made some scarves out of the shimmer and absolutely love it. The shimmer part adds a little bit of roughness to it, but it's adorable. It's sparkly. It's pink and gray. It's Tish's favorite colors, so I'll be next knit night, or I may meet up with her sometime this week for coffee, and I may pass that over to her. So that is for her. See, there again, I need to stop that. I don't have any knitting finished projects. I do have my socks. I'm still working on those, checking away on the second sock. I have the ribbing put in, and I am working my way down the leg now. I forgot to grab them, but I know you guys have seen them for a couple weeks, so you know what they look like. But I did get on Ravelry today because I didn't have a yarn associated with it and it was really bugging me. And the one thing I love about Ravelry is you can get in there and search for anything. So I knew the yarn was one of 2 brands, so I just started searching for the brand name, and my brain just went dead. I used the little search features over on the side, so I typed in one of the brands. I'm like, okay, I know it's either a fingering or a light fingering, so I clicked those as options, and I just went scrolling, and I found the sock yarn that I'm using. I did find out it was now discontinued. Shows you how long ago I wanted to knit socks, that the yarn that I'm using is now discontinued. So I thought that was kind of funny. But anywho, it's the Bernat sock multi yarn. I don't know if it's just the color that I'm using or if that whole line of sock yarn is discontinued, but I did link that up in my project page. The other thing knitting wise that I'm working on, I literally just cast on. You know, last week I showed you guys the yarn that Love Knots dyed for me, that I really wanted to figure out what to make with it. And no joke, guys, I literally just cast on. I got home from work, I had dinner, I put it on a podcast. I cast this on twice because I do the long tail cast on, and I didn't leave enough long tail. So I ripped off the cast on because I was going to be like 70 stitches short. And I cast on again, and this time I left way too much tail. So I tied it up until I get a few rows in, and then I'll go weave it in. I ended up, see those ums? I gotta stop that. I decided on the honey cowl. A couple of the podcasts that I watched, I believe the Bakery Bears, I have watched theirs. I went back and watched all of their back episodes. They just put out episode 20 this last week, and I loved watching it. It's a married couple, and they're in England. Love their accents. I'm really fond of UK podcasts, or just international podcasts in general, because I love their accents. And another podcast that I'm going to talk about later, and I'll talk about Bakery Bears a little bit more too, but I got told I had a cute accent. I didn't think I had an accent, y'all. Yeah, so that really kind of made my day. So yeah, I got cast on, and I'm about halfway through the first row. I didn't print off the pattern. If you want to see what the honey cowl looks like, 5 million of them have seemed to be made. And Tish from Southern Girl Knits just worked on one, and I believe she just cast on another one. So once again, I'm kind of following her lead. My TBG shawl that I worked on a couple weeks ago, that was like supposed to be my sister's Christmas present, then turned into her birthday present, and now we're 2 weeks past her birthday and it's still sitting here on my craft table. Whoopsies. I'm really bad about this whole birthday thing, and I'll explain that a little bit more later too. So I really need to get that, you know, shoved in an envelope and shipped off. So this is the yarn dyed by Wonderful Love Knots. There we go, beautiful colors. My favorite color, teal, with a little bit of pink and some gray thrown in for good measure. So that's going to be the honey cowl. The pattern, I believe, calls for DK. I didn't have any DK. Why not use fingering? I love my shawls and just cowls being super drapey. So I cast on about 20 extra stitches since I'm using fingering instead of DK, and I'm going to call it good. So we're going to see how this turns out. Hopefully it turns out fabulous. If I run out of yarn, I'll just have Love Knots dye me some more. Love you, Rachel. So that is... Yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on this week. Well, I didn't have a whole lot to show. I did do some sewing this week though, so I do have a little bit of that. And this kind of goes back into my story of where I'm awful... words mixed up there. I am terrible about birthdays. Thankfully, my friends and family love me. They totally understand that I am working on things. I have the greatest intentions of being done. I had the fabric bought. Love Knot's birthday was in January. It's now March. It's almost her son's birthday. And I finally have her birthday present done. Yay me! So Sunday, yeah, Hubs was out of town again. So I'll talk about my weekend in Panda Chatter. But I pulled out, I bought, ooh, that's really big. So I bought this fabric before her birthday. Green's her favorite color. And I know she'd love the chevron. And of course I love polka dots, and I figured she would too. So I used that as the contrasting fabric. So I saw a picture of one of these on Pinterest, and have I showed you guys mine? I wonder. I'll bring it not next episode. Well, yeah, maybe next episode. So this one I just kind of winged. God, if I can even fit it in here. This thing is massive, I tell you. So I may have gotten a little crazy on the size, but as you can tell, you know, it's probably good. Let's go this way. There we go. It's probably a good 18 inches wide and probably close to 22, 24 inches deep. It's fabulous. This fabric right here forms 6 pockets around the outside, and then the inside, I made the straps a little long, got a little crazy with that, so I just tied a knot in the top to shorten it up. But the inside is all the fabulous chevron as well. So it has one massive pocket on the inside and then 6 around the outside. And this was part of Rachel's Christmas present. I also, one of the Panda bags, excuse me as I reach out of camera, one of these little drawstring bags is the other part of Rachel's gift. I still need to put the drawstring in here. That's how productive I've been with these. These have been done for a couple weeks and they've just been sitting on my craft table. So I just need to throw some ribbon in that and put it in Rachel's bag, and her birthday will be done. So yay! 2 belated birthday presents done within like 2 weeks of each other. I'm making progress. So that was the sewing I did. I meant to record on Sunday, which I'm recording on Monday after work. I worked at the sewing machine, was totally wiped out, ended up sitting down to watch some podcast and work on the Rainbow of Doom. I fell asleep, took like a 3-hour nap. Yeah, sleep was good though. You know, with the silly time change, it just throws everything off, and it's, oh, I don't like the time change. So that is that. So that's all I've been working on, y'all. Not a whole lot. I do have some projects coming up. I really want to work on the honey cow. I want to get my socks knocked out. And I've got some other projects brewing up here. Not quite sure what direction they're going to go yet, so we're still working on that. So this brings me to my podcast shout out. I don't remember if I shouted out to her last week, but she's awesome enough that even if I did, I'm shouting out to her again this week. Sarah from the Canadian Knitter podcast is fabulous. She finally came over and introduced herself in the group, so hi Sarah. She's another podcast that she's probably around 20-ish in. I caught her podcast through one of my friends. When I get bored or run out of podcasts, I'll go over to my friends' shows, or I'll go through other podcasts, and if they have their subscription list is public, I'll look through their list to find some other podcasts that they like. And I believe I found Canadian Knitter through, I don't remember, so I don't want to say the wrong name, but I found her through one of my other friends on YouTube, and I watched her latest one, fell in love with it, so of course watched the backlog, and now every time she comes out, I'm always searching the Rav boards to see when she has a new episode out. So jump on over to Canadian Knitter. Sarah is a fabulous podcaster. She just had a birthday, So that was awesome for her. She has an awesome accent too. She was the one that said that I had an adorable accent. I love Sarah's accent too. And I said earlier, Bakery Bears, that was another podcast that I've been catching up on. They were another one that has about 20 or so podcasts out. Sorry, jumping back to Canadian Knitter, her podcasts ranged from about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, 50 minutes, thereabouts. With the Bakery Bears, I loved watching their podcast too. The wife and husband have a very awesome dynamic. I love that they both knit. We need more male knitters. You know, and Kay's been working on some crocheting pieces, so that's awesome. Go crochet, woot! And her husband, Dan, is hilarious. Absolutely love him. He did go just watch their podcast and kind of see what they've been going through. But I'm amazed at the skills that they both have. And I love, they take you through different places in England. So it's awesome that you can be sitting in your living room on your couch and they take you to like different abbeys and just different places that they love to knit. And I love that part of their show. Now you do have to have some time to sit down and watch their podcast. They're almost, most of them are about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but they are well worth every second of it. So let's see, that is, oh sorry, nose itches. I don't know if it's allergies or a cold, but it's not a whole lot of fun. So I'm sorry about scratching my nose and the sniffles. So that's everything. I'm fixing to head into Panda Chatter. If you want to stick around, hear about my daily life, I would love it. If you want to head off to your next podcast or have something else you need to do, I'll catch you next week. So Panda Chatter. So like I said earlier, this week we had some more snow. Once again, state of Arkansas shuts down. I was at work on Wednesday and I get off about 3:30. So we were keeping an eye on the weather. I have roughly about a 30-mile commute. Well, it was still raining, no big deal. Get off work, start heading home. I get about 10 miles from home and the roads get bad quick. They got slippery. And I'm like, okay, well I know I'm going to be snowed in, so I stopped, grabbed Chinese dinner because for some reason I had been craving Chinese. Wanted rice really bad, so grabbed some Chinese food for the hubs and I for dinner. And within like the 10 minutes that it took me to get our dinner and get back outside, my entire car was covered in ice. And I still had about 7-ish miles to go to get home. So I get back in the car, make my way. I grew up in Kansas. I learned to drive. My birthday's in December. I had my permit in the middle of winter. I learned how to drive on ice, snow. When I was in college, I drove through 11 inches of snow to go to work for a couple days in a row, so I can drive through this. It's all those other crazies out there. But I made it home. I did get stuck on the highway for a little bit because I did watch someone spin out and ram their car into the cables in the middle of the highway. So that was definitely a little bit fun. Everyone was fine. The car was a little bit mangled, but they were good to go. So finally made it home and I was snowed in the next 2 days. So that was tons of fun. Like I said earlier, I love that I can work from home. I know there's a lot of people that don't have that ability, but definitely loved it. Got a bunch of work done, got some designing done, and also got to, in my downtime, work on some projects. Saturday, we were back at the little English tea shop, Wheat Betty's in Jacksonville. It's awesome. I am such a tea fiend now. I'm on this tea kick. On my way home, I stopped by the grocery store and I picked up some pumpkin spice tea. Fabulous. Had some this morning at work. It's pumpkin, y'all. I can eat pumpkin, drink pumpkin year round. Absolutely love it. And then Sunday I worked on some sewing. Hubs went out of town to see his cousin again. He wanted to go spend time with his cousin and I was having way too much fun at knit group to leave, so I told him just to go on. So he had fun there. I had fun knitting, catching up on some podcasts. and crocheting and knitting. Wasn't all that exciting, but I did go out to dinner with a friend Saturday night. It's another lady from my knit group, and we went to a hibachi restaurant here in town where they cook all the food in front of you and you're sitting, there's like 10 people sitting around the grill and then they do all the cooking there. Well, of course, it takes a while for them to cook food, so I took my sock with me and I was sitting there knitting, and she was knitting on a project too. I think she was working on a cowl. And like, it amazed the people that we were sitting with. Like, they were asking what we were making, and I pulled out my finished sock, and they were like mesmerized that I don't get bored with knitting or that I actually made a sock. So it kind of makes you realize that to the muggles, as some of the other podcasters call them, that they really have absolutely no idea what goes into it. And so it was kind of cool because it was a grandma that was there with her daughter and grandkids celebrating one of the grandkids' birthdays. So it was kind of nice to sit there and talk to them and tell them a little bit about knitting and crocheting, and that I do a podcast, and she wasn't quite sure what that was, so I explained that. But it's just super interesting. Sorry, my throat's kind of getting dry. It was just really nice to sit there and talk about knitting and crocheting over dinner. And I was sitting there just knitting away on my sock while the chef was cooking dinner, and I kept glancing over, and I realized half the table was watching me knit instead of watching our chef cook our dinner, which I thought that was pretty entertaining. So yeah, that was pretty fun. They were kind of amazed that at my age, I'm 26, they were amazed that I was a knitter and a crocheter. They kind of thought it was dying out, I guess. So that's kind of my mission. You know, I'm on the board of the Arkansas Fiber Fest, which I know in the upcoming episodes I'm going to talk about a lot more. But I feel like it's part of my duty to make sure that this craft gets passed on to the next generation. I don't have kids, don't ever plan on having children, but that doesn't leave, that doesn't leave out all the other people that I encounter on a day-to-day basis. So work with me, make sure that the fiber arts community doesn't die out. And I think that's all I've got for you this week. I'm gonna let you guys know that next week I have something super special up my sleeve. So once again, I'm not gonna have my podcast up over the weekend. It's gonna be another day that's on. I'm gonna try to get it up next Monday. So kind of keep your eye out next Monday or Tuesday for my next podcast. So keep on stitching, y'all.